Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom podcast. Today, we continue our actor spotlight for Anya Taylor-Joy, and the movie we have under that spotlight this week is The Menu, released November 18th, 2022, written by Seth Reese and Will Tracy, directed by Mark Mylod. I am Colton Robertson, and I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Yes, chef, it is. I'm very happy with where we're at right now. You know, this is the last stop prior to Furiosa. And while I don't think we saw a steady decline, Emma remains my favorite of the Anya spotlight. This one's a little bit of a spike up from last night in Soho for sticking the landing. But how are you feeling? This was your first viewing of The Menu, right?
Yes, it was. And I'd say the only thing that this movie has over the others is like the mystery element, the not knowing what's kind of coming next, the Knives Out sort of, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and you know that's the fun of the movie, I'd say. And but no, I think you're definitely right in that it is kind of gone downhill, but very slight. It's not like a fall off or anything. But Emma was quite high, so but no, I enjoyed it. It's just a little left to be desired, and I don't necessarily know where I would want more focus on. Maybe visuals, I think, is the biggest thing that I can say.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a dull-looking movie for how beautiful the architecture is and how
they're on an island.
Yeah, just a little more something there would have been nice. But regardless, we'll kick it off talking about Anya Taylor-Joy a bit. She is, as always, as has been the case in this project, pitch perfect. She's fucking awesome, man. I love her in the role of Margot. I think that I think she brings such a fascinating elegance to this role whenever she's supposed to be the inelegant one. But because she's supposed to be the inelegant one, she's elegant by contrast compared to all the other dumb fucks in the room. And it makes her stick out even more performance-wise.
Yeah, is there
I
any
absolutely
other
adored her.
character or character? I don't know if there is another character you can go with.
There's no fucking shot. It's Margot. Performance, you could spread some
Maybe
love.
Ralph
I think
Fiennes.
so.
Maybe.
Ralph Fiennes does a good job. Nicholas Hoult does a fantastic job as that scum fuck there.
That's true. You hate him, that's for sure. He does. He's not the guy.
No, yeah,
I want him
definitely
to play,
not the character, but a very good performance of that character. You know, but yeah, that's why I'm like, ultimately, my top two performances, I did go with Anya Taylor-Joy. If it's between Anya Taylor-Joy and somebody else in this project, I'm gonna go Anya Taylor-Joy. Hong Chow, the waiter, the hostess, if you will. She's fucking fantastic in everything she's in. You'll recognize her from the Watchmen series.
Thank you. Holy crap, was
Yes.
that getting at me? Oh my god. Okay, all rest now. But an underrated part of the movie that
She's so good.
Yeah.
She's so good. She's actually the only other character I would consider for my favorite character also. So like I think that her and Anya Taylor-Joy are the spotlights of the movie, the shining points. I enjoy John Leguizamo a lot. He's the we saw him in John Wick and as the car guy.
Yeah.
But he popped up here as the washed up actor whose name is a name-dropping piece of shit, as he dubs himself. A really, really fascinating, eclectic group of people here, cast-wise. I enjoy the movie a great deal. That's and that ultimately, this is one of those ones where you come into it thinking you're probably going to get more than just an enjoyable movie. Ultimately, I think its messaging ends up being too muddled to be a crazy good film. Oh shit, sorry about that. I don't know. How do you feel about the story unfolding the way it does here?
Like, I guess the points that I think they're trying to make is how disconnected the rich are, and not necessarily everyone that's in the room. It's different for kind of each group. Like the food critic that's just destroyed a bunch of restaurants. And like I think whenever they gave him the taco night, and everyone was looking at their pictures, and everyone is seeing what they're being punished for,
begins to come into focus.
Yeah, and so it's clear that it is kind of like a fuck the rich, and you guys are so out of it, and you're so in your own minds that you don't even think about anything else, blah blah blah. But then you also have like an evil fuck that's doing all of this to them. And it kind of takes away from it a little bit. I don't know. Like it like if say I don't know how you would turn it, but
well, I mean, for one, it's a great idea. It's a fun idea. That's why it's an enjoyable movie. Like the cult-like kitchen that is constantly serving these rich fucks who, they don't even appreciate what they're getting, Don't eat. Savor. Taste. Can you name me one thing you had the last time you were here? That sort of thing.
Even
like
the time before. One meal. He's like,
one
we
dish,
specifically tell you every single dish we give you, and you can't tell me anything, And
so that's why it's like, as a service industry worker, there's a lot of stuff in here that will resonate to a degree, It's the disconnect comes from Slovik's almost fetishization of the working class. He's no longer that. He's very clearly well-to-do, and he almost wishes he was still working class and didn't have to serve these rich fucks, which is an interesting way to look at it. In fact, he does to his staff worse than any of these rich people do to him.
Why? I get why you're killing all the rich people at the end. I get why he sacrifices himself to start it off.
It's the
but
thematic.
Then when the chefs go,
it's the thematic tie.
It's like I guess it's like the cult. They're all in whatever. But like,
that's the thing. I think that if they lose,
the idea was that Anya or Margot was going to join the team if she didn't betray and whatever. Like that was her only in. So like it feels that like every chef that's in there, they either wanted to because they're as crazy as chef, or they got. I'm assuming it's like it's the same route that Margot went through. Like they came in.
Some of them are definitely Margot route. Some of them are also like the chick who's like, actually, everybody dying was my idea. I'm very proud of that. Some of them are Nicholas Holt's. Some of them are Nicholas Holt's character who came in, happened to be able to cook, and they stuck with the staff for life. And what's also interesting is this is, obviously the first time they've ever had a night like this, because they'd be dead otherwise. But
can't continue. Yeah, really.
I'm fascinated. It's a fascinating idea. I think it's a difficult idea to pull off effectively, and I think it suffers for that. Its class commentary is clear, and it's very on the nose, and it's very obvious. I don't think there's a lot of parsing to do for what they're trying to get across to you. But ultimately, I think the class commentary ends up being muddled because of those distinctions for Slovik and the kitchen staff and all that, and then on top of it, like, there came that point when he lets Margot go, and the point of the dinner was that everybody has to die. So at that point, does your kitchen staff have to die also? Do you have to do this? Because I could see it being through a revolutionary lens. They're committing an act of revolutionary suicide. They're doing something that will, in theory, if it was a bunch of random rich people who had exploited people and had done terrible things, yes, and some of them are that. But his whole motivations get muddled whenever you include, like, John Leguizamo's character. I went to a movie on my one day off, and I hated the movie. And you were in it.
But it was because it's an artist that lost his way. He took the job for the money. He just acted in it and he didn't care. And I think that's the detail he hated, right?
I get that.
Not enough to kill him, you mean?
Not enough to fucking murder this guy. You know,
went to
like
Brown University, no student loans. All right, you die tonight. I think it's just
no, and it's rich people.
Yeah.
It's rich people, and I get that. You know, like I'm not like, but there's got to be I think there's got to be a fucking reason. You know, like the other thing is that it's all mostly personal vendettas. It's not for a greater good thing.
Oh.
It ends up not being a revolutionary thing. It ends up being because Slovik personally despises these people.
That's true.
Not,
it's the regulars. It's the food critic that comes back all the time that her ego's too big. The other couple that's been there 11 times. The
group
owners,
who works for the guy
like,
who is who owns his restaurant. You know, like, so they're all very personally affecting to Slovik, which makes it a good story about Slovik, but people will tout this as a great class commentary when I think it loses its oomph via that. And
I think the best scene of it all is the cheeseburger. Like whenever she orders her cheeseburger, and when she stands
figured
up,
him the fuck out.
when she claps, you know, I was like, it felt really good. And then, because that is weird. Because it showed a picture of him young making a cheeseburger, you know, and so that's the point of her asking for one, is to make me something with love, you know, actually, not with passion. That was a perfect explanation, you know, of like of how he does not cook with love anymore, and that it's obsession. Right. And I thought that was at least the coolest part of the movie for me was when she flipped it on everyone else.
Yes,
and
100%.
Because she was supposed to die there, and I think the cheeseburger memory, just her actually enjoying it, you know, like, and it's for someone that is of the lower class, that isn't up with all these other people. He finally felt that again, and that's why, okay, I'll let you go, you know. And,
yes, no, and I love that. I like that is. To end it with Margot getting let go, that is something you have to do in this movie, or else the movie loses its entire fucking idea. So like, at least there was that. The other thing is that clearly the cult-like kitchen he's created is fully dedicated to him. Even the sommelier, who's like like as the guy's getting lowered into the water, he's like he's like giddy, he's like giggling back there, you know. It's like what the fuck, man?
So I guess maybe not. Maybe there's not many Margos in there. I feel like if you're in here, you got a little something going on.
And you know, like that's the other thing is that, like, you know, we work 8-hour days, we sleep here because we don't like. So if you get there and you're not allowed to leave, you eventually become one of them. You know, like, it's not like you're...
I guess it is. Maybe it was leave or die before. Like, maybe they haven't threatened to kill the customers yet, but maybe the threat's always been there for the chefs. You know, it's like, if you don't hold up to the standard, you know.
That's why I'm like to create a cult-like environment like this, like, I don't fucking know, man. It's
Man, and it was cool at first. I had no idea where the movie was going at all.
Yeah.
So like at first I'm like, "Oh, Beast, what's up? Like, let's go. Let's see what this guy's like." And you know, he says some things at the beginning. You know, the name is different, and I'm like, "Oh, that kind of sucks." Like, okay, that sucks. And he's talking to her a little weird, and you know, he calls her a child. Whenever he called her a child, that was you know. All right.
Absolute child.
Okay.
Yeah,
dude.
you're like, okay, you're a fucking douchebag.
Yeah, and
he was already a douchebag, but then he became a dickhead. Which, you know, there's a line there.
And Margot looks in the door, sees him hanging there, and then she's just like, "Yeah."
She's like, "Yeah, that's how the rest of this night would go, for sure,
like
sure."
That. Oh my god, that realization of like, I told you specifically that everyone would die here, and you still brought someone knowingly, you know, like, and I wonder if that's the reason for the breakup. Do you think? Like, do you think he told his previous girlfriend that, like, hey, we're going to this?
Oh, I guess it could be.
He says we're all gonna die. What an experience we can have. But then, you know, she's like, you're fucking crazy. I'm not going to that. And
Yeah.
I feel like he's
Very,
like, oh,
very much so could be.
yeah, like I feel like he's like, oh, well, you're the child for not wanting to experience this greatest blah blah. Like
Yeah, no,
that's
like it's a piece of performance art, and he's obviously the biggest fanboy there is. He actually doesn't even end up getting to experience the thing he actually came to experience either, which is hilarious.
Nope.
He gets humiliated. The whole I'm sorry, that wasn't a part of our original menu. But he had to fucking go.
Yeah.
I loved that shit.
What his what they call his dish? Just like bullshit? Was it like
Yeah, his bullshit. I can't remember what his Tyler's bullshit.
Tyler's bullshit? Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah. I mean, I loved that, like, his right before his death, they're putting him to the same pressure that all of these chefs feel, and theory can only take you so far. It's kind of like an Oppenheimer quote. That's Tyler's game. He studies, he knows all the stuff, but he doesn't actually practice it.
Oh, he doesn't, and he doesn't even know all the stuff. The thing he remarks as studying is the cooking shows on television.
That's true. I mean, he does.
Which I mean,
he
like
can
you can
identify
get
flavors, and like he
Yeah,
knows
yeah,
about
like,
the
and that's-
whatever jet that makes stuff powdery. I don't know shit
yeah.
that I have.
I have one
zero-
of these at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So like that's the thing is that like obviously he does study it. It's a certain like he's an aficionado to be sure, but he's like he says, you are the reason my art is dying.
And that. I guess I don't really know where he's coming from. Like, just to take all the mystery out. Is that like what he's saying? Is that like just by simply describing, how it's done and what's in there, it ruins everything? But like, I don't really that didn't really clock for me, because like the food's still good, and it's just, if you eat a piece of shit cheeseburger, you're gonna be like, oh, this was this was terrible, and here's why. If you eat something really good, you're gonna be like, hey, this was good, and here's why. It's like I don't see why that's like ruining the art, unless he's saying that like those kind of people think that they're involved in the same world and everything, and that's why it's like ruining.
I kind of took it as he's a social media critic, like his whole, he takes pictures and he's a foodie, and it's like, yeah, that's cool and all. Like it's a fun lifestyle, and you can, you eat a lot of good food that way. You can experience it the way it's supposed to. But like, there's that point whenever he's explaining the first dish, and Tyler mansplains to Margot, like, oh, they did this, and he goes, like,
yes,
there's something you'd like to say to the class,
He's
Tyler.
like, yes, those are the scallops that we harvested. We showed you the fucking boat that we were going on. Congrats, dude. You got it, and it's and he's like, oh shit, fuck, I gotta fix this.
Do you think he's mad at me?
Should I apologize? What should I do? And it's like, every time he just, oh, well, you don't get it, like he just I don't know, very glad.
Oh, dude, fucking terrible character. He's gonna be a great Lex Luthor.
What do you think Chef whispered in his ear? Whenever, before he goes to hang himself, is it like, hey, if you go,
I don't know. It had to be something pretty impactful, because he knew he was gonna die at the end of the night anyway.
Do you think it was, hey, go in the back room, hang yourself, and then that's the only way Margot can get out? Or was it, your dish was so fucking bad that I don't want, like, what, did he just insult him to the degree where he killed himself?
There was no Margot involved in that converstion. It was not like
he
this
wouldn't
is
have done it for her.
No,
right.
he wouldn't give a fuck.
Okay,
He wouldn't have
true.
gave a fuck.
That's true.
He paid her to be there. Like it.
God, dude, man, I was really hoping for him, because it's like, at least he was saying some bad things, but then he explained like why he's into food, and I was like,
no, yeah, like I get it.
Like, that was pretty well.
Well,
put,
and they've got
not gonna lie, but...
she's really, really good at her job, by the way. She really makes it feel like they are connecting. She really makes it feel like they're through all the bullshit, she keeps it going. She keeps trying, and like, there comes a point where obviously she can't do that anymore, but, yeah, it's impressive.
I don't know when it hit me. I think it was like whenever the reveal was like, you're not the one supposed to be here. Like, I didn't know that he paid. Like, I didn't. really put together that she was like just a sex worker or
Yeah, like he says, like, I'm the one paying at first, and you think he's talking about for the meal, for the experience, you know?
And so I think it was well, there was the other couple, the older couple that she got with, and she had to say like that I was his daughter and like whatever the fuck, you know. He's into that, like the old guy. So I guess I don't know if that was before or after the
That
reveal.
was pretty late in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like that's after the guys had to run, and it's when the girls.
That's while they had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the girls are all together. I thought something more like cool was gonna happen there, like that they were gonna be like, all right, some of you are in this, you know, because of the men, you know, so you're not really attached, but then there's that food critic that's like, that's why she's there, you know, she's the main one. The guy is just kind of like,
he's the pawn.
You encourage her,
the
you know,
bootlicker,
so kind of,
dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's the Thalassin, you know,
yeah, like,
Thalassus and Pontus, of course.
We're eating the ocean. Oh yes, that is what a
really, really good way to say it tastes salty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also he said that I guess they were eating the whatever fish they catch. I don't know. Shit. What the how? I said it earlier. They were
scallops.
Scallops. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was like the island plants, not like the water plants. You know, like that was the point.
Well,
of the
they
dish.
froze the seawater on top, and it
true.
melted to flavor.
That's true. So I guess it was like a blend of the island and the ocean. But like
eating the ocean.
I mean I loved like all of. And that's why, like Chef, I was like behind it before I knew he was fully just a fuckwad.
Yeah, no, and like there's a long time of the movie where you are behind him, even when you do realize that he's a murderous piece of shit, you know, because you don't like any of these fucking guys. And there's a movie in here where you don't have to change much of the events, and he's still a fucking, I mean, not a good guy, but you know, like
he could have done it for better reasons and not like his own personal ego, and like there's a lot of personal reasons for him, but if it was purely like you're all rich fucks, you don't appreciate any of this, and like
your company poisoned the water here, your company did this, yours did this, you like even the food critic is fine, like the food critic actually didn't do shit to him, like he recognized that she ruined the potential of people who were like him. And was like, even she can be involved, you know? Like, that's like one of those things where, like, it's not directly to him. And I appreciate that, like, with the company that the dude bros work for, like, they had, like, their embezzlement and, you know, like, that whole thing. Like, that's a different...
Yes.
Like, it's just
they're just taking money from the company. That's all they're doing. Like,
that's what it seemed like. I might have missed
skimming
something
off the top, you know, and like,
which to me, like, I've never really gave a shit about embezzlement unless it's from like a welfare fund, you know, like
fair.
Unless it's for something that is actually a good cause instead of lining the pockets of your boss. Like, I don't know, like it's fine. I don't give a fuck. So that's one of those things.
Lining the pockets.
It's unethical.
Assholes, though. You know, it's like it's not like someone who is in a desperate situation needing to do it. This is just they already have all the money they could ever ask for, and they're still doing it.
That's why I'm like that doesn't affect him at all, though. That's one of those things that I'm like, it's one of those weird things where he's like, y'all just kind of fucking suck. You have money, you're greedy, essentially. You know, like and some of that stuff, again, I can kind of get behind. Ultimately, it feels like beyond all the class commentary stuff, everybody in the room is so self-important and so arrogant. And basically what it feels like he's trying to get them to realize is that they're no better than anybody. And I think that ends up being the message of the movie more so than any actual, like, deep, you know, socialist theory or anything. It's like, don't be a dick. Don't be a selfish asshole. Don't be so self-important all the time. You're not better than anybody, you know? I think that's kind of what it ends up being.
I think it was a clap. It was before a meal. It might have been the first one. Maybe the second, actually, the island. Yeah, it was the island with everything. But he says, the island and the nutrients it provides exist in their most perfect state without us gathering them or manipulating them or digesting them. What happens inside this room is meaningless compared to what happens outside, in nature, in the soil, in the water, in the air. We are but a frightened nanosecond, and nature is timeless. And I was like, whenever he's spitting bars like this, I'm like, oh, this dude's fucking sick. I'm like, what a cool outlook that a chef could have. You know, like that's just a perspective I've never kind of seen at that angle before. And then you slowly see him just deteriorate over the movie, and I'm like, oh man, you know, he quoted MLK, you know, which was that was kind of funny. That was another like when they're like, did he just quote Martin Luther King? He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. And the black guy's the one to be like, yeah, he fucking did. You know, he's up there talking about the oppressed. Like, you're working in the nicest restaurant in the world.
I mean, it's a good quote.
You are the head chef in the. No, I mean it's a great quote.
But
it's a great quote.
Yeah,
But like not for you, buddy.
No.
You know, not for you, Chef Slovic. So like that's one of those things where there's this tinge to him that's almost hypocritical. There's this I mean, obviously a psychosis, a sociopathic thing going on that a cult leader that you can't fuck with on every level. Otherwise you're a cult member. But my favorite quote was from Hong Shao's character where they're like asking for the bread, you know. The dude bros are asking for the bread, like, please, can we actually get some fucking bread? Like, let's do this thing. And she's like, oh, sir, go ahead and sit down. And she leans into his ear, and it's kind of the first thing. It's like the first thing in the movie that makes you go like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like
and she says, you will eat less than you desire and more than you deserve. And I thought it was a great thesis for just like what the whole point of the movie is.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of encapsulates their entire motive in this night, you know, like we're going to feed you bullshit all fucking night. You're going to go out on an empty stomach and we're going to burn you to death. How about that?
Oh, no, that was bread's the only thing I can't eat. So that would have been my actual meal. I would have only been able to eat those side things. So
yeah,
like,
accompaniments.
But I thought
the
that was
unaccompanied accompaniments.
I did like all the little history lessons a little bit thrown in there, you know, like that grain was like 80% or something like that of all food, and then like fruits and vegetables make up less than
6 or 7%.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about. But
bread has existed in some form for 12,000 years.
Peasants used to dip their bread in red wine for breakfast, you know, or whatever. That was breakfast back then. Is you had your wine and bread. And there you go.
Beautiful.
It'll fill you up, and that, yeah. But it was the coolest part of the movie is the mystery, and like you're trying to figure out, and then when the pieces start to connect and everything, that's why I don't know. That's where all the enjoyment really comes from me, really. And then just the slam dunks that Margot can have. The cheeseburger one was very nice. Obviously, it's the whole climax of the movie, but I feel like she had another slam dunk. Maybe it was in the bathroom or maybe in his office, but that doesn't feel right. I feel like she had kind of another moment where I don't know when it was. Maybe it was the bathroom. I guess it really wasn't a slam dunk. She was just like, well, she does end it by saying, get the fuck out of my way, you know, or something like that.
Mind your fucking business, essentially.
Like, I can choose when and what I eat. Like, fuck you, get the fuck out of my way. I don't care. And
I love her deciding to ask if she can leave by asking for the burger in a to-go box. Like, can I get it in a to-go box? And if he says yes, she's allowed to leave. Like, I love that idea that she has to put everything in terms of food for it to work for him.
I'd like to return this to the kitchen, you know, that, and that was like the real, like, she was called a child for that, to do it, but then she was like, oh, this will offend him the most, you know, this will be the thing that gets to him the most, is if I return the meal. And was there even a meal that she returned, or did she just say that? Like,
I think there was something they'd put in front of them, but I don't think it was.
Because eventually they just showed the meal, like the little name on the top, and it was. But I liked the little history lessons and stuff. I wish they kind of kept doing that, but obviously the night was going down a different direction than when it started.
Yeah,
so
a wee bit. Yeah. I My favorite scene of the movie is the one where you're like, okay, yep, there's been a tonal shift, and it's sous chef Jeremy's The Mess.
Whoa.
Whenever he introduces sous chef Jeremy, and he's like, "This is sous chef Jeremy. He'll never be what he wants to be. Does he want my life? No. Does he want his life? No. Let's do something about it." When he puts a gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger, it's like, oh, got it.
My mouth. I mean, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this has to be theater. Like everyone was saying, I'm like, how are they gonna bring this back around? And then I'm like, oh no, I think this is
no, this guy just shot himself in the fucking head. Yeah.
There's a small continuity error, maybe. And this could be a cool detail if it's not a continuity error, but shoots himself. They had that tarp up, whatever. There's a little blood splatter on the counter that divides the kitchen and the restaurant or whatever. And there was blood on top of the counter on the right side. On whenever they showed him dragging his body, but then like a second later they show the counter and it's like pristine, clean, and everything. And it could be like continuity, or it's just like they knew this was gonna happen. They come like the chefs took him back, they cleaned it up, and it's like done. But
yeah, it could just be the squib got away from them a little bit.
I think I think that's probably just what happened. But yeah, no, that was that's definitely the moment in the movie where it turns, like, for sure, and it was.
Well, and then there's still, even after some more shit, there's, like, whenever they cut the dude's finger off, and the food critic, like, is like, I think they're doing this all for us. She, like, looks back at John Leguizamo and is like, the performances are amazing. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Selfish,
They're
like, just
crazy
selfish, self-important.
To think it's not like that. And then Tyler as well, before he dies, he's like, he's just eating. You know, he's, like, acting like everything's normal. He's like, yep, this is... What an experience.
This is actually what I knew would happen tonight.
Oh, fuck, duh. I didn't, duh. He knew. Oh.
He knows everything. He knows everything that's going to happen tonight. And he just goes along with every bit of it. So that's why whenever they all take off running, he's like, well, we're just going to end up back here anyway, so I'm just going to... You can't escape, so I'm just going to stay here, you know? Like, And he's like, you too. And he's like, okay, fine. And he just kind of like runs around the side and looks in the window and stuff. Like, it.
Wow. Oh my God. So he knew he was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, this is an experience this is the last thing I want to do.
This is how he wanted to go out, as a foodie with his idol, eating the food he prepared for him. And like, for a fucking insane person, I can see why that sounds appealing, you know, like, but
yeah, you gotta suspend a lot of logic.
Yeah, like I certainly would not want to go out burning alive, wrapped in marshmallows. You know, that wouldn't be ideal for me. But
what I loved the costumes they put on him at the end, the little marshmallow,
dude, so
thing,
funny,
and the chocolate hat. You see them all melt.
And ultimately, that's why, like, the tonal imbalance that this movie has, where it feels like it is supposed to be taken seriously the first time you watched it. It's a lot more fun to not take seriously. And on my second watch, I didn't. And it's a fun fucking movie that way. There's a lot, like, it's just Slovak fucking teasing these people all goddamn night. He's just fucking with them the whole time. It's so funny. And then to, like, dress them up at the end and be like, we're going to burn alive now. You ready? You know, like,
that his mother is in the corner the whole time. Like, I think that's just hilarious. Like, and then she just was, like, asleep. Or, I don't know. Did she die? Was she just drunk? Did she just passed out?
I don't know.
Probably.
Passed out drunk.
It's not,
you know,
out of the norm for her to be drunk, I guess, as well.
They say something to Tyler. Like, the only line she delivers the whole fucking movie is like, Mr. Handsome Boy. And it's about, like, Tyler. And it's like,
he's getting up. He gets his chef little apron on or whatever. And she's like, what a handsome boy. And that's it.
That's it. That's all she ever says. So, like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that is egregiously funny the second time around because you don't know what the tone of the movie is.
Yeah.
The first time, you're kind of trying to figure it out. You sense there's a tension. You sense it's dark. So you don't want to take the things that are funny as funny at the beginning of the movie, particularly. But it became, like, I watched it for the first time about a year and a half ago. That's kind of been the theme. I don't know if you've noticed the last several movies that I have seen. I'm like, yeah, I watched this about a year and a half ago, which is, I don't know why, but yeah, I watched this about a year and a half ago, and I liked it. I liked it a lot then. I did think it was a lot better the first time I watched it.
Yeah,
and
I
then
see that. That makes sense. Like being in the mystery is a lot of
helps
it.
a
Like,
lot.
yeah,
Helps a lot.
And
Yeah.
if I were to watch, I think I would probably watch it like that. Like just to, I know where everything's going. I would look at just all the little details, kind of like a Knives Out sort of
Yeah, a little
thing.
bit.
Where Knives Out's in a different league. I don't want to compare it. I personally like Knives Out just more. I think it's critically way better done.
It's
and
better
I
and
enjoy
it's
it
more
more.
enjoyable. Yeah.
But in the same kind of vein of when you watch it the first time, you have no idea what's going to happen. There's little things happening in the background that you just don't even think of. But then you watch it the second time and you're like, oh, that's fucking cool, or like that's why they did that, or
Yeah. And there's not a ton of that here. That was also something I was looking for. It's there's a couple things that are, and it's mostly that like when they arrive at the beginning and she's like, and you're Miss what's her fuck, the W name, and she's like, no, I'm Margot, and she kind of goes, she just kind of looks at her and is like, okay, go ahead, like,
yeah, 'cause they're like that's not part of the plan. They're like,
no,
'cause
yeah,
they
like
know
this
what's gonna
immediately.
happen. All the chefs know, like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
100%
Their menu is fucked up from the beginning of the night because Margot's there. And that's why it becomes funny, is because it feels like a lot of the time, like that's why Hong Chau spends so much time with Margot and around them, is because she needs to like keep her controlled,
They're like,
essentially.
who are you? They're like,
Yeah,
I
she's
think
a
that's why.
variable
They're like,
they don't have an account for.
and
Yeah.
was it like, the who are you, because we need to know whether you're them or us, but
Yeah,
all of them
yeah.
are gonna die anyways. So it's like,
And then he puts it to her like, do you want to die with us or them? Like, you're going to die tonight. Sorry about that. But like, is it going to be with us or with them?
so it really was the cheeseburger that switched it around.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, because I guess
It was.
she was going to take the replacement spot.
had
She won
his,
the fight. She won the knife fight, and his house was like a perfect replica of the kitchen.
It's his whole
and
life.
everything.
It's
Yeah,
his whole
that's
life, yeah.
oh.
And
you
then
think
his
he was
room is just a
practicing?
concrete room.
He's just like he practices at home. He's been like rehearsing this. You think
Probably.
all the claps, everything. What was behind the silver door? Did we ever see that?
I don't know. Maybe it's his room. Maybe it's a perfect replica of everything. Like it's legitimately.
Margot's in his house and she's walking through. We see the kitchen. We see, she looks at pictures, but she gets to the door and it's locked. She can't go in there, and that's when, what's her name? The
I know her. I know the actress's name.
Elsa.
It was
I guess
Elsa. Yeah.
When Elsa walks in, that it's right whenever she's trying to open the door, and she doesn't actually open it. I think right there, at least. Maybe she goes in after.
She goes in after, and that's what's in it. That's his room.
And then it's his room. Okay.
That's his room. But that's at his house. We don't, like, given that, I think we can gather that since it is a replica on the outside over there, it's probably a replica.
So he just has
over
another
here.
room there? Because she does ask, what's behind that silver door in the restaurant, not in the house?
Yes,
And she says,
yes.
something very special or something like that. And,
Yeah, I don't know.
What it
I
could
never.
be at the restaurant, because I guess I don't even remember what his room looked. Was that where she saw the cheeseburger?
Yeah, the
Okay,
pictures
so
and
that's,
stuff.
okay,
Yeah,
so
like
that's
it's
that. Okay.
it's just a It looks funny enough. It looks like the room I'm in now, with like with nothing on the walls though, just besides a couple frames. It's
yeah,
just
that's right.
yeah.
Okay, now it's coming back now. But yeah, I wonder if it is just the same at the restaurant or not.
Maybe it's where they keep the bodies.
Because that was a question that I had, is like, is this the first night that they have killed people? Because they have a Coast Guard guy, and maybe that could have just been one of the dudes they had ready to go in case anyone called for help. I don't know. But, like, I wonder if
The Coast Guard guy puts on an apron and starts working with them after he does that.
Oh, so he was just a chef.
He was just a chef.
So
they did a
they
whole.
had that costume ready. They just knew. Like
I think that was it's
So-
an interesting contingency. I don't know why that was
What-
part of their plan was for I think it just happened to be timed perfect with the fact that Margot went and radioed somebody,
yeah, because she actually radioed the real coast. Oh, it's their radio though.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they don't really show, why the real Coast Guard doesn't show up, but I don't think.
Well, it's also funny that Margot is a wild card, but they also had a plan for what happened.
Just in case someone, maybe when the guys ran, there was the possibility that they could get to his house, get to the radio, and they're like, well, I don't know. They do plan for everything, and they said they've been preparing for a long time, and that this is, it's been prepared brutally, step by step. So it's just, I think
maybe she takes over. Maybe she takes over what his original plan for Tyler was. Maybe he was supposed to do the go get the barrel thing because Elsa even says, he didn't tell me about that. He just wants,
that was her dying words. Yeah. He didn't tell me about the barrel. I didn't forget.
I didn't mess it up. I didn't forget. Yeah.
That was sad. So it's I feel for some of these people on one hand, but then a lot of other ones. I
feel for a lot of them because you don't knowingly join a cult.
That's fair.
You don't wake up that morning and go, I'm going to join a cult today. It's typically you get in with a group of people, you get indoctrinated, and it just happens. So they all clearly what was interesting is that they're all like Tyler, but they're not that side of it. They're not foodies. They're cooks. They are chefs. They create. They don't imbibe. So it's Tyler had that devotion to him and wasn't here. Yeah. Tyler had that sort of devotion to him and was ready to die tonight and stuff. He's the actual only guy who's I woke up this morning ready to join a cult.
I think that's a good explanation for the barrel and everything. He was supposed to be the one, but now that he's dead, a little too early. And maybe Margot was the wild card there. If his actual girlfriend came, then he would have just been gone to the house to get the barrel, or not even the house, just the meat coop thing, right? It was in that where all the meat was hung to dry and whatever. But then she just decided, fuck it, I'm going to his house. So I guess it wasn't in his house at first, but.
It's probably one of those contingencies where it's we'll know if she radioed someone because the boat will be coming up, and if the boat is coming up, we do this. If not, no big deal. We proceed with the night as planned.
I guess that's what he says. He's in the kitchen, we must all trust each other, and you proved that you went behind our backs. So this was a test. This was very planned, but at the, him saying that it's all part of the plan, it's just a way for the writers to make it. It's he didn't. The Ray Fiennes didn't actually sit down and plan this whole night. It's But so I don't want to. It's a movie, and I don't want to go too deep into the logic and everything to break it down because maybe we're ruining the art, by doing that. Maybe maybe we're doing the same thing, but I don't think so. It's fair to criticize a movie. That's what we do kind of all the time. So, but man, wow. I wonder if word gets out of this. If he's that famous and his restaurant burned down with all of these people in it, famous, there's an actor who's I guess kind of washed, but whatever, people still know him.
Still famous.
Probably one of the most well-known food critics. I don't know how famous they can really get as being a food critic, but it seemed that
they're known within their community. Yeah, she works for a specific magazine. It seems like one of their editors is going to be dying too. So it's this will not be a little known story.
Okay, yeah, that's a cool kind of thought to Like, what's the aftermath kind of this, if any? If people just be like, "Oh, damn, an accident," if it'll be thought of as an accident rather than a
Oh,
murder.
there's a body in the house next door.
Yeah, with a
With a
stab wound
knife in the
the.
throat.
I think the knife is still in
The
there.
fucking
So
in the trachea.
that's the only evidence left. Everything else is just burned down, unless they had
Yeah,
some
my favorite
contingency.
shot is definitely the overhead of the s'more. I don't think it got better than that.
And I mean,
They knew what they were cooking.
yeah, they were like, all right, we're gonna all the floor patterns. It was beautiful.
was perfect.
That did
It was
look really
perfect,
cool,
yeah.
and it was really the end that gave a lot of the prettiest shots for me because
Oh,
whenever
dude.
she's walking out and she's like looking at them, she kind of turns around and is like, "Do I help you?" What is her? What's kind of going through her mind there? Do you think is it like I got out? Like, is it kind of like a one last look at everybody, or is it like
I kind of took it to be like a survivor's guilt thing, Like she's like almost
knowing
like
all of them are gonna die?
yeah, like almost like an I'm sorry, like like well, but I love the fact that it's the wife of the man that she'd previously done services for. That's like, like get out.
You're
of
good.
Here,
You're
good.
the good one here. And
Yeah.
I don't know
Like,
what the
we
wife did.
Well, and that's what's cool. By the end of the movie, is that they've all accepted it. Like they're all going, yes, chef, and like
they
like they're
accept
all
the flame. They're like, yes, I deserve. They all in their heads. They're like, okay, yeah, I get it. I deserve to die. It's like, and I guess what did that wife do? Of the guy that slept with Margot. What was her fault? Did she have anything, or was
I don't
she
think
just
so.
happened to be
I think she was. I think she was just. I mean, she was also a regular.
Okay, 11 times not appreciating the food. She couldn't even remember.
What'd you have
cod.
last time? She's like cod.
That's
nope,
true.
it was halibut. Fucking.
Okay.
He says like fucking
Spotted,
pristine.
yes, pristine spotted halibut. It's like, oh man,
Spotted fucking halibut. There's a fucking in there that is just so perfect. Yeah, I mean Ray Fiennes had a lot of great line deliveries. It's so like, I mean, I end up being not middle of the road. I enjoyed it. But there's give and take here, to be sure. Hold the phone. I'm looking at trivia now. Screenwriter Will Tracy came up with the idea of the story while on his honeymoon in Bergen, Norway, when he took a boat to a fancy restaurant on a nearby private island and realized they were stuck on the island until the meal was done. There are numerous references to Restaurant Noma to Restaurant Noma, which is in Copenhagen, and the menu, starting from the location, idea, concept, and ending with the menu itself. So,
whoa,
one of those things where he went to an island, and they were like, "You will stay on this island until the evening is concluded."
damn, that's.
And he was like, "This could get horrific," like.
Am I gonna die here? What
yeah,
a
exactly.
movie.
So,
he's like,
that's what.
I can make this a movie. Yeah. Not bad. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, inspiration comes from
it's
anywhere.
a great idea.
Yeah,
it's a great idea, man. I enjoy it a great deal. A little bit of that psychological horror thing going on. It's an interesting one, and with a budget at $35 million, I got to imagine most of that's for location here.
Wow. Yeah.
And probably a few of the faces.
Paying the actors. Yeah, there's some. I guess Ray Fiennes probably not the cheapest guy, and Anya. I don't know.
I mean, Ray Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, and John Leguizamo are all names. Like
very true. Yeah, they're not cheap. But that's the only thing is that they were on such a beautiful island, and the restaurant was so beautiful, and then the movie just
it's like, come on, give me a little bit more here.
Yeah.
Give me a little more.
But I mean. It's trying. I don't know. I guess it's all just kind of mystery, in thriller-esque that does this. I just keep going back to Knives Out because I think it's just a better example of how a mystery story can be done. But you don't have like the evil, like in the first one, the old guy. I guess the guy who dies. He's not like an evil fuck that's trying to impose. I don't know. There's no cult. There's no. It's just a murder mystery, and then. Little things that you figure out. And so this does have more. There is kind of more going on. It's crazy, but maybe all of that muddles it a little bit.
I think it suffers from being so busy a little bit. I think that there's, and again, I think it's a great idea. I think there's a lot of, I almost feel like I don't know what the better movie in here is, but I do think there's a better movie in here. I think that there's definitely a better looking movie in here. I can tell you that for fucking sure. And knowing Mark Mylod comes from a lot of HBO directed television, that like they came on screen, like the movie opens and I'm like, this looks like Succession. Mark Mylod, I didn't know this. Mark Mylod directed 16 episodes of Succession, and Will Tracy wrote a lot of it, the writer for this movie. So like, I was like, oh, okay. When I saw that just now.
You picked out the little ingredient. I
did. I saw the Succession.
Look at that.
Maybe I'm taking away the art a little bit. But,
no. I mean, that's the logic of the cult leader. So
that's true.
I don't know if it's valid.
It's definitely not.
But...
A lot of the stuff he's got a few good points, but a lot of cult leaders do. They usually start with a few good points.
That's right.
And that's how they get you.
Yeah, it's like, that makes sense. And then they'll throw in so all of you will die at the end of this night. And then like, is that really supposed to make sense?
Okay, well, hold the phone.
I don't know if I agree with that one, but...
No, but... Because, man, I have a good time with it. Do you think we're ready for a rating? I don't know that I have much else to say about it. It's a pretty simple one.
I think we're there. I mean, yeah, we hit every meal, I think. We hit every scene that wasn't... I think it's really only the sous chef killing himself and the cheeseburger scenes that are like the scenes of the movie. But
and that's the thing, is that I like the angel, the fallen angel, that one where they dip the dude into the ocean and everyone's watching in horror. He's like, listen. Yeah, I mean, like it's a lot of fun stuff. Like, it was one of those like confounding ones where like it's an hour and 45 minutes. And it was fast. It was a quick hour and 45 minutes, but it was also like... It was a little like Sicario for me, where... And I guess it was on second viewing, so that's important. First viewing, it wouldn't feel like this, but second viewing, it does. There aren't a lot of spikes.
Yeah.
It's very... It just keeps going. And, like it's... Because there are spikes, but they are short-lived. Like, it's up, down, and we're back to normal, because that's kind of the point of the evening. That's what Ralph Fiennes wants it to be. His character wants it to be like, oh, settle down now, everybody take your seats. It's...
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, a cool concept. Great concept, and even funnier knowing that he was sitting down in a restaurant in an island himself and was like...
I'm gonna write this shit down.
Can you imagine? Like, it just in his head, he's like, maybe just fear. Like, he's actually fearful that, like, am I going to die? Like, what the fuck? I'm on an island. I have no escape. Like, what the fuck's gonna happen to me? And then,
I appreciate that it kind of has a little bit of a commentary on this sort of restaurant too, where it's like all the people eating here are so self-important. The restaurant's also a little self-important, no?
Yeah.
Like, it's like
he that's why he has lost his passion. That's why he's lost the love in his food. Is before he was making food for people that actually would benefit from it and appreciate what they have. But then now that he, I think in his mind at first it might have been, I want to get to be the best chef in the world. I want to become that, and I want to make the best food. And then that comes with the exclusivity of it, and the only people that can buy that happen to be rich people. I don't think it was like I want to be here to only feed rich people, but that's just how it happened. Like the greed over time.
Well, and perhaps that's also why he has an even deeper rooted hatred for the critic, because she propelled him to these heights.
Yeah.
Put
him on the map, and I wonder what map that would be. Yeah, what... that line kind of confused me a little bit. Like, she's like, I'm the one who put you on the map, and he's like, yeah, I wonder what map that would be, or something like that.
Like, who who's that map important to, I think is kind of what it meant. That's kind of how I took it, is like, I wonder what map that would be, you know, like you like kind of like you're so self-important that you think that because you said something, it makes everybody think it.
Okay.
I wonder what map that would be, you know, like maybe it's not a fucking map at all, you goddamn idiot, you know, like stuff like that. But
okay.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, so like there's good stuff in here, you know, there's a lot of good stuff. But before we get to the rating, if you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom-pod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and early access content. It's a lot of fun over there. You know, if you're listening to this, you know, Wednesday, May 22nd, you could have been listening probably early first week of May. Yeah, you know, look at that. Look how much earlier that would have been. You had so much time to listen to the podcast before, and now it's almost like you not giving us $1.50 a month is depriving you of joy. You know, we're providing a service. You know.
Yes, technically the service industry.
Can you even tell me what our episode last week was on? You know,
tell me one idea that we said last episode.
Yeah, no, I'm fucking with everybody. No, don't worry. If it's your first time joining us, we're happy to have you. If it's not your first time joining us, I don't expect you to retain any of the shit we say. But we're happy to have you. But we'd be even happier to have you on patreon.com/pennybloom-pod, because for $1.50 a month, you can support the podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, and continue downloading episodes. You can also watch on YouTube now, where if you would have noticed that both me and Joe are wearing aprons for the episode. A lot of fun. I've got my other album on display. It's called I by Bon Iver. I. Thought it kind of went with the narcissism angle that this movie had.
Okay.
But yeah, a little deep cut there. Not quite as
good though.
I had to reach for this one because I had like a perfect album in mind. I don't own it though. I wanted Food by MF Doom.
Wow.
But I don't own that.
That's awesome.
Great
that
one.
would have been perfect.
Great one. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, then you can come on back next week where we will be covering Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. We're already there, baby. We've done all 3 of our anticipatory pods for Anya Taylor-Joy, and it's time for the biggie next week, what we've all been waiting for. But in the meantime, we will be continuing our Action Movies Galore project this Friday with RRR, the Indian Telugu-spoken action epic period piece, fucking awesome movie. Super excited for that. That's this Friday, and then next Monday is the 5-year anniversary, the 5th birthday of the Penny Bloom podcast, where in anticipation of Furiosa as well, we will be covering Mad Max Fury Road. So yeah, coming to a close this month. It's been a big one. So only 3 movies left, and then the top 10 action flicks of all time next Friday. Super excited for that. So stick with us. You won't be disappointed. How are we feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 enjoyment-wise here?
Well, last night in Soho was a 6.5.
I'd be willing to give this a 6.75 or 7.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more enjoyable. It is. Just barely. Not by much.
And it's because of the ending. Like, the ending actually gratifies you in a way here that Last Night in Soho actually absolutely takes away from the movie. So, like, it's like the opposite. The ending improves this movie like crazy, whereas the ending destroyed my likeness for Last Night in Soho.
I think.
Because that also recontextualizes the entire movie, whereas this, it's the only thing that maintains their commentary I feel like they were going for the whole time. And I feel like that's a plus. So
yeah. Is it good? Is it, because 7 is when it starts to be getting good, and
I'd say it's right there. It either crosses that threshold or it is a 6.75. It's one or the other.
I'd say enjoyment-wise, I'd give it that benefit of the doubt for that first viewing, which I think to me is the most important viewing of any movie.
I agree. I
And
agree completely.
and I mean, I did have a good time. Like the mystery was fun, like that, and just learning
That's
how.
what that was my question. I'm going off of my second viewing here with that 6.75 ish. Is there any part of you that wants to give it like a 7.25, 7.5? Because it doesn't feel like an 8. An 8 is where I feel like you start to love a movie, but
I feel like I'm right at a 7. I feel like it's just it. Like I kind of told you that it's just a movie. Like it's a story that you can't really tell anywhere else. It could have been a TV show, I guess. A book just doesn't really work. I don't know, but like this is just a story made for a movie.
it's a movie, man.
and
Yeah.
and like I don't know. There's important movies that you can make to give a very very crucial message at the time. This is kind of just a there's the class commentary angle, but I think this was just kind of the dude was at the restaurant. He's like, this is a cool fucking movie idea. I want to make this, and
Yeah.
that's what I like. I like when people just set out to make a cool movie, and when you can have some class commentary in as well, then I'm cool with
Yeah,
that.
you slide a little that way.
So I mean,
I'm cool with
I'm
the
right
7.
at that
I'm cool
that
with the
good.
7.
Yeah, I can't really. I'm not gonna flaunt and be like, oh, this was, I had such a great time that or whatever. But
No, it's a good time though. I have fun watching it. Like that's I think that's the important part about this movie. Because critically, I don't think it's great. I hesitate to call it like good.
yeah,
Like it's solid. It's solid. It's not bad by any stretch, I don't think. Especially when you take the movie for what it is saying. Where it could go wrong is if it's trying to say more. Which I think it might be, and I think it might be getting muddled, but I could also see it kind of, if that was what it was going for, it certainly loses sight of it.
yeah, they take the mystery and the cool factors more. They're more important than
they
the class
turn that up
commentary.
to
Yeah.
yes, yeah, big time.
So I mean, I think below a 7. Like I'm below a 7 here. I think I'm below that good kind of threshold.
I'd say it's worse than Last Night in Soho, despite the bad ending.
Way prettier.
Like Last Night
Way
in Soho
prettier.
is fantastically made, dude.
Yeah, and performed, I'd say maybe better too.
That's
maybe relatively the same, but
there's a certain levelness to the performances in this because everyone kind of has the same temperament. Now they all obviously play very specific characters. Like John Leguizamo was the other guy who stuck out to me as a potential performance nod because he's playing such a, like he's playing that guy, and then when he starts to lose, and he's like, all right, we got to do something about this guy.
he stands up and he tries to talk. He's like, "Hey, I'm what's up, man? I think I speak for all of us, but he was just like struggling, and
Yeah,
I thought that was,
so like that. But I think it is. I think it's every bit as well performed as Last Night in Soho. I wouldn't say it's better performed or worse performed than Last Night in Soho.
Gave that a 6.5 as well. That was a 6.5 both. Enjoyment.
Yeah, I'm like, I think as far like we were talking about the mystery angle. Which mystery do you find more gratifying?
Ooh.
I think Last Night in Soho's is a lot more complicated, which makes it more difficult to pull off.
The ending of the mystery sucks. But if it was a different ending, I think I'd like it. But the journey that I was on, I think I liked Last Night in Soho maybe a little more. Like enjoyment-wise, I think this mystery was more fun. Like this was a more fun roller coaster. But I think Last Night in Soho was done better. Besides for the ending, like take the last 5 minutes out, and there we go.
That's why, I'm around a 6.25 or a 6.5. Like I'm tempted to tie it, but because it's not nearly as pretty as it could be, I'm willing to give it that demotion there to a 6.25.
I think it deserved. I don't think I could. I think 6.25 sounds better. Well, if we do that, I mean, it ties it overall with Last Night in Soho at a 6.5. So.
Yeah, completely different reasons, but I would arrive at about the same conclusion about them.
Yeah, Yeah, it's like I might return to them. I don't know. I don't really need to, but if I do, I won't hate it. You know, I'll. But
No, yeah, like I enjoyed watching both of those movies, and I've enjoyed the eclectic mix of movies we've had this month, where we've had just like ridiculously good ones slip in there. We've had some shitters every once in a while, you know, like it's just but more often than not, I feel like we're at this level. We're at this just they're solid films. They're solid.
Mhm.
They're good.
yeah,
They're fine.
and you need.
You know,
Yeah, this is like the control. This is like the.
mhm.
You know, we need the bad, we need the good, but you also need that middle ground just to
Mhm.
compare it to everything. It's because a lot of our previous. Like either director spotlight mainly, like I mean everything was like in the high 8s or 9s, you know, like it
Mhm.
was we were watching some good stuff, and now you know with an actor doing an
The
actor
actor
spotlight.
spotlights are a little more. They're more eclectic. There's different directors. There's different writers.
Mhm.
The only constant is this one performer, and they're consistent. You know, Dev
Yeah.
Patel was consistently great. Anya Taylor-Joy is consistently great, but the movies around them might not be, or they might be fucking fantastic, like Emma or Monkey Man or The Green Knight. So
Yeah.
like, I'm looking forward to Furiosa, man. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait. But yeah. With that, I think we will conclude this episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast.
Let's go. We've done it.
I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
And it is always a pleasure to be here as always. Yes.
As always.
Yes,
Always.
chef.
Yes, chef. But remember, peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Anya Taylor-Joy.